Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thanks so much for joining our town hall Zoom for parents and families. Awesome to see you on here. So we are going to go through a couple updates, and then we'll have plenty of time for question and answer. And it looks like we're still having quite a few people come in. So we'll just welcome everybody as they get here. Okay. Jesus, so nice to see you on here. Haven't talked to you in a while, man. Okay, so the first thing I want to mention is you may be curious about Sac State's enrollment as, we've gone to a virtual semester. I think many colleges have worried about losing students, but Sac State has 31,000 students. So we actually have not dropped in enrollment. We're on a consistent trend. We're right where we're supposed to be, which is a little surprising. So yeah, our enrollment is right where we expected it to be at 31,000 students. And I thought you might be curious to know. The second thing, I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the fires throughout the state of California. So the fires have been intense. The fire over in Vacaville, I guess, is the second largest fire in the state's history. And I'm sure that many of you and your students have been affected. And I hope that you're all doing okay. And I hope that you haven't had any family members have to evacuate. But I'm sure that has affected our Hornet family. And at the very least, the smoke has affected all of us in the greater Sacramento region and all the way out to the coast, not being able to go outside for a whole week. And, quarantine is tough too. So I just wanted to take a moment and say our hearts go out to you, and we're glad that things are improving a bit. We know those fires are affecting everybody. The second thing I wanted to let you know is it's an update about safety protocols at Sac State, and may not be relevant to you or your students, but I do want you to know one of the things that Sac State is doing. So I think you know that there are a few things happening on campus. Not much, right? Campus is closed in terms of 95% of classes are virtual, but 5% of classes are happening on campus. Most of those are science labs. Some are art labs. There's a little bit of administration that still comes to campus. And we actually had about 450 students move on campus over the past few days. And one of the safety protocols that Sac State is implementing is a self-screening tool for anyone who comes to campus. And that means students, even if they're going to come to the bookstore, for instance, or anyone that's coming to campus at all, is supposed to use this screening tool through the Sac State mobile app. And it's very simple. And it asks two questions. Have you had a fever in the last 2 days? Have you had a temperature? And have you been in contact with anyone who tested positive for coronavirus? And if you answer no to both of those questions, it shows a green check mark on the screen. And for any students who are on campus, we have student ambassadors who are going to help them with that process and just make sure that everyone is using the screening tool. Okay, so I trust you all know that the first day of classes is Monday, the 31st, right? So your students should have bought their books already. And if they haven't done that, they can do that through the Hornet Bookstore. They can access the Hornet Bookstore online. They can also see the books that they need to buy through their student center, and it connects to the bookstore through their student center. Of course, they don't have to buy books through the Hornet Bookstore. Of course, they can buy them through Amazon or wherever you might get them online. So what do your students need to do to prepare for classes starting? I've been getting some questions from families and students in terms of where where are they supposed to look? Where do they go to see what they do? So they're supposed to look 2 places. They're supposed to look in Canvas, which is the online learning system, which they can access when they log into My Sac State. There's a little button, it's a circle, it says Canvas. And they should check their Sac State email. And I would encourage your students to, especially if they've not worked in Canvas before, to just go through that this weekend sometime, make sure that they can see all their classes, make sure that they know where the Zoom links are. And it may take a little bit of hunting around in the system, but Canvas is a really great system. It's really easy to use, and it's a centralized place where students can find their assignments and find what they need to do. Also, you know, in talking with new families, especially those transitioning from high school to starting first year of college, your students' professors provide a syllabus at the beginning of each class, and that syllabus is a class plan. I just wanted you to know that we get a lot of questions throughout the semester, a lot of students saying they didn't know that a homework assignment was coming up, or they didn't know that they would have to buy a book or do a research paper. And the syllabus is a plan that the professor develops for the entire semester. It includes how they're graded. It also includes how much of their grade is participation and attendance. And that's an area that we see a lot of students struggle with sometimes as the semester goes on, is just not attending class. And so if you can remind your students to do those basics, it's really helpful to buy the books, read the syllabus, go to class, and participate. Those are simple ways to start off on the right foot and continue to gather points in kind of a simple way. So that's it in terms of campus updates for starting off the semester on Monday. I want to see if any of you have questions and see how you're feeling, how your students are doing. What's going on with you? You can put it in the chat, or you can just unmute yourself if you like. Shelly, how are you? How's your student? Oh, you're muted.
She's actually a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You know, we're trying to get through it, sort of figure it out, and it's just one step at a time, really. She hasn't bought her books yet because she's still waffling about her classes, even at this late stage. So,
what year is she?
She's actually a transfer student, so she's a junior.
And is it her first semester at Sac State?
Yes.
Okay. What are her doubts about her course schedule, about her classes?
Well, she was thinking that she's a sociology major and she took all sociology classes, and then she realized that there would probably be a lot of essays and writing in that, and so she was thinking about perhaps getting 1 or 2 classes that weren't so focused on the English part of it, the essays. She did speak to someone this week. Someone called her actually and emailed her about it. So, you know, that was excellent. I mean, I forget the person, but she was really encouraging to Danielle and just said, you know, just go for it. She's got a good GPA and everything. So I think she's just pretty nervous at the moment. And it's kind of hard trying to pull her along, you know.
It is. It's really unknown, you know, going into, so in spring, we all transitioned to virtual mid-semester, and it was kind of a mess. And I feel like we all did the best we could with what we had at the time. And I'm assuming that she was in community college at that time.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
But now, approaching an entire semester with virtual classes, your daughter being a junior, having upper division classes, not knowing what to expect. Yeah, it's a lot. I think it's very ambiguous and uncertain. And I think that students can be intimidated by the workload. But your daughter is Danny, right?
Yes.
I spoke with her.
Oh,
And
okay, good.
yeah, and she's a very good student. She's coming in with a high GPA. And she actually has courses that are really great for her major.
Hmm. Okay.
And one of the things we talked about, and I think this is relevant to the other parents on the line, is, the student was a little intimidated by a heavy course load, as Shelley mentioned. Um, and she expressed maybe an interest in taking a class that wouldn't be demanding so much. And what I told her was, if you are looking to lighten your load, don't and this is based on this student's academic requirements. Okay, so this is important. There's a report in your student center called academic requirements, and it's all of the classes your student needs to take to graduate. And there's a section at the bottom that says classes not used. And that means your student took a class and it didn't fulfill a requirement.
Mhm.
So what I told this student that we're talking about is, if you want to lighten your load, you may as well not take another class, because she doesn't need extraneous units. If she needs a break, then give herself the break. Don't fill it with a class that you don't need.
Okay.
So now many students who are coming in who are freshmen or sophomores, this wouldn't apply to your students because they're at the beginning of their academic career, and they're going to have all sorts of electives and general education areas that they'll have to fulfill. But as your student moves along and progresses toward their degree, you want to be more strategic about the classes they take, and it can affect your time to graduation as well.
Okay. Seeing you asked me, um, I don't want to take up all the time, but just a quick question. She's thinking about going into teaching. So I suggested she do a minor with some education requirements, but where could she go, or who could she talk to about kind of, bringing that side of things into her classes?
Sure. So teaching is, Sac State has a great college of education for teacher preparation. And she could talk with either the College of Education and the Credential program, which is a program that is subsequent to a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
It comes afterwards. And then she could also talk to the Career Center. So the Career Center has different activities, and she could have a one-on-one with someone to talk about wanting to be a teacher and what her steps would be.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure. I see in the chat we have a question that says, where is the academic requirement list? Sarah. Sarah, the academic requirements list is in your student's student center. And it's an awesome place to find it because it's personalized for them based on what they have accomplished and what they have left to do and what major they have declared. So when your student goes into their student center, it's a little drop-down bar. It's a long rectangle. It says, it's a drop-down option, and it says academic requirements. Scott is asking, he says, my daughter is excited and anxious. She's concerned by the fact that the books we ordered from the bookstore won't be at the bookstore until next week. We ordered from another source. Those we ordered from another source arrived at our house a week or so ago. Yeah, thanks for that heads up, Scott. I haven't heard that anyone has had a delay, so I appreciate you letting us know. I would be anxious too, starting class and my books weren't there yet. So I'm glad she has some of them. Should definitely tell the professor that she ordered from the campus bookstore and they're not there yet. Amy says, good morning. Hey, Amy, good morning. At my office using chat, there's some background noise. My daughter's starting her second year Can you speak to any changes in online course delivery this fall? Well, I'm guessing you wonder you're asking compared to the spring. I think what I can tell you is that more than 800 faculty members at Sac State went through training on how to basically how to deliver an effective online class and how to utilize the tools that we have, which include Canvas and Zoom. So there's going to be some standardization on your student side. I think the big question for your student is their personal time schedule and how classes fit into that with other things they may be doing. And what I mean, Amy, is whether your student has synchronous classes or asynchronous classes. I think in terms of student learning online, that's going to be a big factor. So synchronous classes happen just like this meeting. So it's at 11 a.m. You know, we have our meeting here, this town hall Zoom, every 2 weeks, but for students, it's going to be every week. And a synchronous class means you have to be there at that exact time. Asynchronous is like a web class. You do it at your own time. You don't have to be there at a particular time. They'll still have due dates for assignments, but it's going to be more like they can watch a recorded lecture from a faculty member. They can do their own research, and they'll be prompted on how to participate, but it won't be live participation like this. And I've heard some students express preferences one way or the other. Just kind of depends on your student's personality. I hope that does it for you, Amy. If you want any more clarification, please just let us know in the chat. Great. Ms. Tyros, hey, nice to see you back. Thanks for joining us, Ms. Tyros.
Thank you.
Yeah, oh, it looks like you said you had the same textbook issue. Oh, sorry to hear that. August 2nd, that's quite a while. Lori, nice to see you back too. Lori says, my son is waitlisted in an English class. Is there something he should do to make sure he gets in or just sit tight? Lori, do you know his position on his waitlist position?
I believe he said he was number 1.
Oh, he should just stick right there. He'll get in, I think.
And what do you suggest he do about ordering any books regarding that?
Yeah, so I do think he should email the professor and say, you know, I guess I'm going to add something. I think he should email the professor and say, hi, my name is, you know, first name, last name. I am in the number 1 waitlist position on your, you know, say the class name and maybe section number. I am super excited for this class. And then I would, if it's a class that he needs and wants,
I think he needs it, but he doesn't want it.
That's tough. I mean, personally, I would say buy the book. If he really doesn't want it, you know, Lori, is it just you and me right now? Is he sitting right there?
It's just you and me.
Okay, so between you and me, you know, there's plenty of classes that he could take. It doesn't have to be the English class, I'm sure. Is he a freshman?
He's a sophomore. I think he said that it was required, and he did mention that this particular professor has really good reviews.
Oh, he should go with it then.
Okay, so email the professor and ask about the book.
Email the professor and just say, I'm on, yeah, I mean, he could ask, I'm on number 1 waitlist position in your class. Be sure he mentions the section because the professor probably has a lot of classes they're teaching. And I guess he could ask, do you recommend I buy the book? I personally would recommend he buy the book because being in a waitlist position number 1, I have never heard of someone not getting in the class when they're in the number 1 position.
Gotcha.
Haley, hi, this is Mrs. Tyros.
Hey, Ms. Tyros, what's up?
You know, I actually took your advice when I had this issue. My son was on a wait list, number 2. And so we emailed, actually both of us emailed the professor. And he said, wait until a week before the class starts. So we emailed him again a week before, you know, this last Friday. And he said, well, I'm not, because his status has changed from number 2 to number 1. So he said in his email, uh, um, you have a strong chance of getting in, but I don't make a decision until the end of the week. And I we emailed him back and said, is there a possibility the decision could be made before the first day of class, which is September 1st, so that at least he can listen into the requirements. And he's just so adamant, even providing the textbook that he requires. He just seems like he's dragging his feet.
It wasn't helpful.
And
So I can tell
he's
you,
just dragging his feet, and my son is like, it's me more anxious than my son, but it just, why wait a week? And he's already not, he went from number 2 to number 1. We're asking his assistants, providing name of the textbook so that it would be available. And it's just, he's just dragging, oh, well, I don't make a decision. People from who will add in, and who would add in? He's number 1 already. Why
well, yeah.
wait until someone wants to add in after him so that you can make a decision? It just seems like I'm dealing, I don't know. I wish they would put their they can see the perspective, the students that are feeling a little bit pressured,
Well,
especially.
actually, Miss Tyros, I have to tell you, it's an administrative technical process. So the reason that the professor literally cannot make that choice this week. So right now, that choice, put it in quotes, choice, is made by the system. And our system is PeopleSoft. We call it CMS. And so students are registering, adding, dropping, swapping classes, and that all goes on pause. And basically, like, the system kind of gets locked down at the end of the week. And the wait list goes from being in the system, like the PeopleSoft system, to the wait list then shifts to the professor's responsibility on Monday. And starting on Monday, the professor owns the wait list and can, choose, do I have a seat available? Is a student dropping? So before Monday, the process of students getting into a class is done in the system. And then once the semester starts, the professor gets the wait list.
Okay, so
But the book, the question about what book to buy, I would be a little frustrated as well. And then I will tell you, a lot of times at Sac State, professors, I'm not sure if you have been emailing, but the professors really want to see the students' email. They get pretty frustrated if the parents email on behalf of the students. And
actually, my son and I composed the email because I wanted him to participate in it.
mm-hmm.
So it was in his name. But anyhow, it's okay. We'll just wait patiently. We did check. There's in the Hornet bookstore. It says textbook, and then we looked through there, and it actually identifies the professors and sections. I think class sections, and then it shows the textbook. So that's one way we found out the textbook as well.
Okay, well, I would say just try to hang in there and, let's see what happens on Monday.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. So Jennifer says Hornet Launch chose her son's classes this fall. That's good, and that's normal for freshmen starting this year. Does he choose his own classes for spring? Yes, he does. How does that work? So Jennifer, he is going to have a mandatory academic advising appointment with someone in the academic advising center. And it's a meeting. It's usually between 30 minutes and an hour. And they go over his major requirements and classes that would be a good choice for him based on what classes he has taken, if he has any units that have already come in requirements. And they also, in that meeting, they try to go over having basically your first choice classes and then having a plan B and a plan C, just in case you don't get what you want. And as students progress and earn more units, they get to register sooner. And how does he do it? He will add classes within his student center. His academic advisor can teach him that process when he meets with them. And he will also have a faculty advisor in his major department. If he has any major specific questions, he can talk with that person. So I think it's a question of kind of asking him, Jennifer, maybe around, I would say like mid-October, say, hey, son, have you had that appointment with your academic advisor yet? They are going to talk with you about how to choose your classes next semester, the process and the class choices. And if you end up needing to be connected with them, if you feel like mid-October, late October has come and gone and he hasn't heard from them, I mean, he probably has, but it was probably sent in an email and it got buried. You can always reach out to Parents and Families Program and we can get him connected to an academic advisor. Annette is asking, my daughter's a criminal justice major, but not officially. Okay, so she's pre-criminal justice. Yep, because it's impacted. She's starting her 3rd year and she has completed all of her lower division GE courses. She has to wait until mid-September to apply to the program. So this semester, she's only enrolled in 1 class. Do you have any recommendations? Hey, Annette, I would have recommendations if I could see, basically, I'd love, like, if you can send me in a private chat her name and first name, last name, and if you have her student ID, if not her birthday. And I would love to look up her account and then I'll email her back if there are any classes that she can take for the criminal justice major. Any of those prerequisites that aren't done yet. I mean, otherwise it's kind of an odd semester.
Okay.
So recommended. Mm-hmm. Do you want her, does she, you know, like 76% of our families, is she getting financial aid?
She is, and normally she would live on campus, but you know, because of the virtual position, she's back. We live in Long Beach, so she's just doing everything online from home.
Yeah, I just drove right by you. You opened the door. Like,
Okay.
oh, coming out.
Well, sometimes to maintain financial aid, students have to be enrolled in a minimum of 9 units.
Yeah,
And
I did
so
see that notice.
we probably need to look at what classes she can take.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll send that to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Annette. Monica says, since fall semester begins 1 week later than it did last year and ends at about the same time as last year, is it fair to say the semester is shorter? No, it's not shorter. The academic days, they have to keep that the same. So it must be based on like when certain holidays fall or something like that. It's not a shorter semester.
Okay, I just had to check because I compared from last year and I did wonder, like, are we gonna make up time somewhere else? Like, was the spring semester gonna, I expected that it would be somehow, you know, pick up somewhere later, like maybe in the semester, later in December, but it's the same. So I just needed to clarify.
Yeah, I felt like last year was early.
Right. And then regarding that, will this academic school year remain as is? And what I mean by that are the dates. Like, can we count on that?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Have you seen the academic calendar, Monica? Emily,
I did look it up online.
Okay.
Yeah, because we always have to do that, book flights, whatever, to get them up there. So I did. I spent some time on it and I was able to, that's how it looked like almost identical to last school year, except minus we were starting a week later.
Okay. Emily, thank you for bringing that up, Monica. Parents don't always know about the academic calendar, and it is a really important place to look. So yes, absolutely, you can count on those dates. The academic calendar is where you can see basically the holidays when campus is closed. And then also importantly, windows of registration when your student can add and drop classes.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Monica. Amy is asking, will any of the campus amenities such as the well be available to students during the fall? Well, Amy, medical, some medical appointments are available in person. The well, oh, let's talk about it. So right now, no, it's not available. It's virtual. And I'll tell you why. That's because the state order, the governor's order, is still in place to have the gyms closed. But the well has submitted a plan to reopen, and they want to reopen. You know, kind of like everybody, of course. They are ready to reopen. They have the plan that is with President Nelson. And so all that would need to happen is that basically President Nelson would have to approve their plan, which includes social distancing and appointment times to work out, and which would provide adequate time for them to clean things a little differently. And then the governor would have to say it's okay for gyms to open. So no, not a lot is going to be open on campus. Campus is going to be pretty closed. So I see Shelley's asking about the library. The library will not be open. It will remain closed. And the library is one of the buildings that's open to the public, or when it's open to the public. So, well, I guess we're a public campus. I guess all the buildings are open to the public, but we get a lot of non-students also use the Sac State Library. What else? In terms of what's available on campus, as I mentioned, about 450 students moved in. So there are 2 residence halls that are open. We usually have about 3,000 students living on campus. So for the students who are on campus, the dining commons is open, which is where they get their hot meals, and the courtyard market is open, which is like grab and go. Sacramento Hall is where a number of administrative offices are. Sacramento Hall, Lassen Hall is open. I think a lot of the facilities people are on campus taking care of the buildings and the grounds. But in terms of use, the students going to campus, it's really, there's not going to be a lot going on. I think we all wish the library and the well would be open.
Printers are open. I just want to mention that.
Printers?
Yeah. I'm getting the link right now for locations on campus.
Okay. Yeah, mostly everything's going to be happening virtually. So I think it's a transition for the students. You know, for anyone who has a new student coming in, or anyone who has a student that's been used to the convenience of like, oh, I'll just go over to the well and see when they have an appointment for counseling or an appointment for mental health, or I'll just drop in and see when I can get an appointment with the dietitian. And Sac State does have a nutritionist. Your student can make a virtual appointment, and that's free and included in their tuition and fees. You know, there's going to be some of that advocacy for their self, where we encourage the students to make those appointments themselves. And going online and making an appointment, it's a really grown-up thing to do. It requires them to manage their own calendar and their own time. A lot of students aren't used to doing that, so this is a good time to practice. Monica is asking, is there a tentative reopening date for the campus? No, not yet, but we are supposed to know. I think mid-November is when the chancellor said that he will tell us what's going to happen with spring semester. So we're all, you know, have fingers crossed. I think, you know, I wonder if it has to do, if it will have anything to do with a vaccine. I don't know though. So we're waiting until mid-November to hear from the chancellor on a tentative reopening date, Monica. Anyone else? Kelly, how are you doing? How's your student doing? I see your question here, Kelly. You said your son will be coming in as a freshman. He still has not received the name of the books to get. When will that information be sent to the student? So here's an example. So he has it. And where is it? It is in his student center. So it's not going to be sent to him, but he has to go into his student center and click on his classes. And there's a button that says textbooks. The other way he can find out what it is he can go to the bookstore and he can select the class and it will come up with the name of the book when he selects the class that he's enrolled in. It's a little more efficient from his student center because all of his classes are right there. But those are two ways he can find out what his books are. A third way is in Canvas. I encourage him to go into Canvas, which is in his student center. And he can look at the classes he has, and each class will have a syllabus posted in Canvas. And so he can open the syllabus and see all the required textbooks. So those are three ways that your son can find out what books he needs to buy. Barbara is asking, sorry if you ever talked about this, but when should my daughter have instructions for class meetings? She has 2 classes on Monday, but she has only had contact from one professor in Canvas. She's a 2nd year. So Barbara, in Canvas, on the left-hand side, there's something that says courses, and you can click on that course. So Barbara, I can show you my Canvas. I'm actually enrolled in a education doctorate program that starts tonight. Would that be helpful? Someone's nodding yes. Okay. So let's see here. One moment. Let me get my Canvas open and then I'll share it. Bear with me, folks. Emily, will you tell me if there's any questions in the chat? So we have this thing called Duo, where we have to log into Sac State and then have a secondary login device. So if your student has not gotten Duo on their phone, then they should. Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you. Okay, here we go. So this is where your student will find Canvas. Okay, so I just logged in, and what you see up here is my Sac State. So this says my name, Haley Dillon. And then right here, this is Canvas. So I click on that. And on the left, you see courses. I'm going to click on this button that says courses. And you see all of these things that I get to do in Canvas. So the class that I have that starts tonight is this EDD 600. So I'm going to click on that. And it'll take me into the course. And so here my professor has entered some information. But importantly, is on the left, this blue menu, the second link is the syllabus. So if you click on syllabus, here it is, it's a document and it is a linked document. So I'm gonna click on it and it's gonna open the syllabus. And here is everything that's in the syllabus. So you might see at the top, she's posted reading requirements, number 5, and then assignments. But there's, you know, times and days of the class here. And then these are the books that are required, right? Required reading. So your student's gonna have to get into these documents and really look at them. It might be, and then you can also see how we are graded, right? So this would be It may not be in this same format. Your student's professor may not be using different colors, for instance, but they should be able to see how they are graded. So 5% showing up, 15% this assignment, you know, and I like to look through and see what is a big, like whatever this one is, 25%, that's a big chunk of the grade. So, and you can see here, a B- is a failing grade in the program that I'm in. Okay, so that's a little bit about Canvas. I also want to show you on the left here, assignments. All the assignments can be posted here for your students. Discussions, a lot of professors will use discussions as places to post, and then quizzes. You can take your quiz in there, and then grades. Your student can check their grade here. Okay, we'll stop sharing that. But do you feel like, was that, Barbara, was that kind of helpful? Not helpful. There's only one course. Well, that's strange.
I can
Emily?
speak. Yeah. So this is an experience that I'm having currently. Only one of my classes, like the few that I'm a part of, have been published. So what a professor will do, usually the day before classes start, it does happen, they'll have the whole class on Canvas hidden while they're finalizing their syllabus and fixing schedules and documents and things like that, so that everything is ready for your student to peruse and explore on Canvas when it's appropriate. So have them keep checking. Don't have them worry if they don't see that class on there, but they know that they're enrolled. It just means that the professor's not ready yet. So that's usually what happens. That's what I'm assuming that my professors are doing.
Thanks, Emily. How do you get Duo? Is it an app? What do you use it for? Yes, good question. Duo and Zoom, your student should get both of these, and they can get the Canvas app too. I don't know if Canvas is good for students. It's certainly good for professors. So Duo, you can go into the App Store on an iPhone or Google Play, and let me see how you can identify it. It's Duo Mobile, and it's a security app. And they use it for dual authentication. So it's making sure that the student is in their own account and it's security. Any other questions? We're here for you. If you can't think of the question that you have right now, you can always email us and we'll get back to you.
I have a question coming in privately from, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name, but Segma, asking about an incoming freshman. Their student is an incoming freshman who has been assigned 16 units, I assume from Hornet Launch.
Yes.
Just wondering, I think, about workload, what to expect with 16 units and the like.
Okay, so 16 units is a full load, that's for sure. It kind of depends on the rigor of the classes or what the classes are. So what is your student's major, or do you know what classes they're enrolled in? And the reason I'm asking is because I'm thinking about higher unit classes, like 5-unit classes, like science classes, which tend to be more information heavy.
Hi, this is Sigma.
Hi.
Hi. So my son is a freshman, and I'm not familiar with the system, and with some reason he was assigned 16 units. Most of them 3 unit, and one is 4 unit, but it's altogether 6 classes.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just not sure virtually learning 6 classes freshman and just seems like a little bit of a too
Seems like a
heavy
lot.
load for me, but he thinks he can do it. But I don't want him to get too much load and get his grade down or something like that.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that attitude is very important, and I think that he thinks he can do it is really great. He could drop a class, and that would be up to him and you to decide. But if he feels confident about 16 units and you think that he's a good student with drive and good study habits and is good at managing his time and has a sense of responsibility and care for his grades, I would say stick with it. Does he work?
He works and he trains heavily. Well, not heavy to me. Like he trains every day. It's too much, but he just thinks he can do all of them. And I would let him do the training and working and those things. It's okay for him to handle it. But for his school, I thought it needs a little bit of a mature thinking needed. That's why I thought to ask.
Does how many hours a week does he work?
He works right now 4 days in the evenings from 5 to 11, 4 days. But we're thinking to cut it into 2 only weekend days and have all the weekdays for school.
So we do, I think that's important actually, especially with the 16 units. So I was kind of thinking 16 units with no job.
Mm-hmm.
16 units with 24 hours of work per week is a lot. So for any student, we, even seniors, we only recommend they work a maximum of 20 hours per week. And I understand some people need, they need to work more, it's fine. But if he's going to keep those work hours that high, then maybe he should drop a class. I guess it depends on what the priority is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the work probably will be only weekend, like 10 hours maybe. We will drop it. And he's really not a heavy reader. And I don't know how the virtual learning is. Did they have to study on their own for like heavy reading to find out the topics? And is that like rely on them a lot, or
Yes.
It is, right?
Very much. So college also, did you say he's a freshman?
Freshman, yeah.
Freshman. Mm-hmm. So college is very different from high school. And in high school, students are told, this is exactly what you need to know. This is what you need to do this week. In college, they're told, here are the concepts. The reading is up to you. Here's the book. The test is sometimes a paper, but basically they're required to read the information and synthesize it on their own. It's not memorization. It's, putting the pieces together in their own head. And of course the professor will walk them through that. Mm-hmm. But, they have to really be engaged. They really have to read it and think about it. It's not just listening to the teacher and then, repeating.
Yeah, that's what high school what they used to, right? So in case if we decide to drop class, the time limit or how do we do it, and could you explain quickly?
Sure. Emily, can you pull up on the academic calendar what's happening with the add drop period? So there's, Sisema, there's a time period when students can drop a class. Mm-hmm. And I think we're kind of in a strange window for like just a couple days where they can't do it right now, but they can starting on Monday.
Okay.
If he's going to drop the class, he definitely wants to do it sooner rather than later, because if he doesn't drop in the formal way, like in his student center, mm-hmm. then it shows up on his transcript as an F. Mm-hmm. A lot of students will just stop going and they think like, oh, I stopped going, so it's no big deal. Nope, it's called a UW or WU, unauthorized withdrawal. And it, in your GPA, it counts as an F. So we want to avoid that.
Okay. But the way he assigned the 16 unit, is that because it's chosen the best for his interest with assumption that he can drop, or that's usually what kids do?
So Sac State has had, so if a student takes 15 units each semester and passes, then for most majors, they can graduate in 4 years. So Sac State has had a history of students wanting to take 12 units per semester or less, and then they wonder why. Why is it taking me so long to get my degree? And they're not taking summer school. So Sac State started Hornet Launch to basically make sure, one, that students take the units that they need. Typically it's 15, so one more unit, you know, not a huge deal. But also two, so students could get the classes, because just before this year, freshmen were choosing their classes on their own. And a lot of freshmen were having a hard time getting the classes that they needed. And so this way they're guaranteed that the classes fit with their needs and they take the right number of units.
Okay, thank you. Then their life got easier then.
Yeah. So Emily just posted in the chat, students can drop or, change classes. It says
they can add, drop, or switch their classes without using a petition, which is like approval from the department or administration, up until the end of week 2. So
they can do it through their student center.
Yes, exactly. Without any issues. They can just do it on their own. If they need to do it after that, if they decide that like after 3 weeks that it's too much work, they can still drop that class, but they have to do it through petition, and it just takes a couple more steps. They can do that up until September 25th, which I believe is the end of week 4.
Okay, another 2 weeks. Okay, I will discuss that with my son. And thank you so much.
Thanks, Sigma.
Okay, thank you.
Emily, hi, this is Mrs. Tyros again. It's my son actually had enrolled, and he attempted to drop one of the chemistry where he was a wait listed, and he was actually able to enroll on another chemistry class where he's not on a wait list. Now he attempted to try to drop that chemistry class that he doesn't need, but he's been having difficulty, and it keeps showing up still in his website, in his what do you call that, in his page,
Student center.
Yes.
Maybe he hasn't completed the drop. Emily, can you speak to, is there some final button that they have to hit?
The student center can be very helpful and very confusing. In my experience, if you want to drop, it's easy for it to just kind of save in your shopping cart as something that you want to drop. You do have to click the final submit button. I'm pulling up mine just for reference, so I'm clear on the instructions, but check again and make sure that he clicked that final submit button after checking off next to that class that he's enrolled in that he needs to drop it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we'll play out, but he should be able to do that now, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. He should. That's a good question. You're not going to be able to do that. We're in a freeze right now. He could do that on Monday.
Start on
Yes.
Monday. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Emily. Is it possible we may be able to contact you if he's still having difficulty? Because we don't want him the final grade showing him not getting a negative in that class.
Yeah, not showing up, right? Sure.
Not showing up, right? So if we may be able to contact you, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Haley just put my email in there. You can follow up with either one of us and we can help you out if there's still trouble, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. Well, we are going to transition to a welcome for parents of students who have moved on campus. So I've got another meeting I'm hosting. thank you so much for coming today. And if we haven't answered your question, please be sure to let us know. And it might be a lot of questions as school starts next week. So good luck to your students. Good luck to you. This is a recurring link for our Town Hall Zoom. So we're going to have our next Town Hall Zoom in 2 weeks from today. So that's September 11th at 11 a.m. See you then. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.